Everyone, konnichiwa. Welcome to the lesson today. We're going to be going through our Year 12 Kanji, starting from 2 and 3 stroke order Kanji all the way up to 12 or so is the top one. Now this is not every single Kanji that you need to know for Year 12, but this is a really good start if you know this many. Now this is actually a re-recording of an earlier video that I did. The audio quality was pretty bad, so the content is all still the same. I've just basically re-recorded it, added in some whole bunch of new things though, so I would definitely re-watch it. And this is also handy if you're doing JLPT N5, but I'm going to focus this content a lot more for the Australian Japanese exams, and it's not quite the same kind of things they test in JLPT. But anyway, if you're unsure about kanji that are 2 or 3 strokes, I would definitely give this video a watch. 今日は10日5月2019年 Now this Google Doc here, it's got a bit.ly link, which will send you to this actual Google Doc, so you can follow along with it yourself and copy all the data out of it if you wish. All right, so what's our first one? So here we have a 2-stroke kanji. This is ireru or hairu. Okay, so I put some yellow highlighting in here because there are obviously lots of different readings for lots of kanji, and generally if I highlight it, it's kind of the most important reading. So I would kind of pay attention to those. The other ones I wouldn't really worry about too much. I would say we should probably also learn this reading as well. Okay, so new, ireru, and hairu. Now I'm not going to teach you really how to write these. I would really recommend you check out my other 2-part series on kanjidamage.com website. That'll teach you a lot more about how to remember kanji so you can write them. Here I'm just going to be telling you these are the words you should know. So these are the kanji you should know, and these are the associated words that you should also know for these kanji. Okay, so the English for this is enter or insert, depending, you know. This is the difference between our transitive and intransitive verbs, by the way. So ireru is to insert something in something, whereas hairu is to go inside something, okay, like go inside a building or something like that. Whereas ireru, right, we put something into a box. So this word here, this actually came up on a previous Year 12 exam, Nyūjōryō. It wasn't really super important that you knew the word, but just want to show you that this can come up in Year 12, but this is our entrance fee. Okay, Nyūjō, this is to go into some place, and Ryo, this is a fee or a charge. So Nyūjōryō. And then we have this, so this is an example of using it as a verb. So ofuro ni hairu. Ofuro ni hairu. So basically enter into a bath. So really just means to take a bath. And this is a really good sentence to remember, because you want to be able to have a bit of a sanity check. Is it ireru? Is it hairu? Which one is to enter? Which one's to put something into? And it's good if you have this phrase. Just a little fun fact as well. This sentence is basically one of the very first Japanese sentences I ever learned, because I was staying with the host family in Japan, and you know it's kind of important to be able to ask how do you take a bath. Okay, so our next kanji is hito. So this means person. I haven't highlighted any readings here, so that just really means that they're all important. We see that when it gets used as kind of talking about people, it tends to get read as jin. So Australia jin, an Australian person. But if we count people, it tends to be nin. So, you know, we'll say san nin, yonin, gonin. All right. So kind of counting, it tends to be nin. But we can also have, this is actually a little bit of a strange reading, I guess, but it's iriguchi, and this is our entrance to a building. And later on, we're going to see we have deguchi as well. Right. Our next one is going to be ue, quite a handy kanji in Japanese, actually. And I've highlighted a few readings here. So jo for our onyomi. By the way, this kanji is onyomi. So it's the Chinese, kind of the original Chinese pronunciation. And then this kanji is representing kun for kunyomi, which is the Japanese reading. Again, watch my 2-part series on the kanjidamage.com website. It's in this same playlist as all my other Year 12 kanji, but it'll explain the difference between those two. So we have ue. All right, so you would really refer to this kanji as ue if you wanted to explain to someone. But we've also got 2 verbs for this, which are useful. So ageru and agaru. Again, a transitive, intransitive verb. But knowing the difference between what these are in Year 12 is not super important. I highly doubt they're ever going to really test you on that. You know, JLPT, it's a bit more common. Maybe not even in N4 though. Maybe it's going to be more of an N3 question, I would think. But either way, ageru is the word that you would be using a lot more in year 12. I would assume. This is when you're talking about like the water rises or there's like a trend or something. Whereas ageru is like if you lift something or pick something up. All right, so we just see this means either above or up, or you know, raise up, go up. It's got a very wide meaning in Japanese. So the two words I've got here are ijo. Now this I kanji is actually in the year 12 list as well, so it's good to know both of these. Now this is definitely a receptive kanji, so you want to know this word. You got to be able to read it to an extent, although I'd say it's really on the cusp. It's not going to be a big focus of year 12. But it is kind of expected that you can understand this word. And ijo, again, has quite a lot of meanings, but it just kind of means more than something. So you can say, you know, sannen ijo, so more than 3 years. Also, this is kind of a set phrase that people say at the end of a speech or something. So I used to remember when I was in school in Japan, we had our assemblies, and the teachers would do kind of presentations. And the kocho sensei, okay, so the principal of the school, every time he did his little spiel and finished his speech, he would always end his speeches with ijo desu, right? So basically he goes ijo desu, and then he kind of grabbed his notes and just walked away from the podium. So very common way just to kind of formally end some kind of speech. Okay, this one, not maybe a word you're going to hear too much, but we have kaijo, ferry. Really, I just wanted to give you an example of a word, a kanji compound using this with the onyomi. But kaijo, this is just like on the water, above the water kind of thing. So kaijo ferry, it's just a ferry that goes on the water, really. All right, next one we have shita, okay, so it kind of follows from ue. So again, we've got a few readings here worth noting, but very similar to the ue kanji we just saw. So we have ka or ge for our onyomi. Now, ge, I'm not sure that's going to come up too much, but I mean, it does later, like after year 12, but ka certainly comes up a fair bit. Shita, of course, this is the way we should refer to this kanji, so it just means below. We have sageru and sagaru. Okay, so again, transitive and transitive verb, and really, it's only really worth learning sageru. Got a whole lot of other readings here. I mean, they're useful, but I can't see them being tested very heavily in year 12, so, you know, you've got limited study time, so focus on the things which are more likely to come up. We see below, down, descend, give, low, inferior. Kind of get the idea of this. And just like we had ijo, which is more than, we have ika, which is less than. Okay, again, using the same i. All right, next one, probably one a lot of you guys should be familiar with, but it can have a few different changing readings, so it does kind of throw a bit of a spanner in the works for a lot of people sometimes. So it's good to always revise these, even the simple kanji, because I mean, I've got this book which is meant for Japanese kids, really, to teach them kanji. And the test in that book, you know, I get them wrong a lot of times, even on these simple kanji, because they can have lots of very sneaky readings sometimes. So, you know, no highlighting here, so just learn all these readings. But we got dai or tai, and so, you know, oki is really this kanji, so o, and yeah, oi ni don't really have to really remember, but really means large or big. So we can have kind of o ame. This might seem a bit strange, but it's not really an exception reading, but it's a bit weird that both of these kanji are read using kunyomi. We have taisetsu, okay, so this means something is important. But then daiji. Now this word also means something is important, but it's two different readings of the same kanji. All right, and then we can have words like daigaku, right, for university. All right, our next one, kind of the antonym, we have chisai, okay, so this is small, and we have sho, okay, for our onyomi. Little or small, really. So shogakko, pretty much the best word to remember this. So primary school. Then we have koyubi. Okay, so this is our little finger. All right, koyubi. Good to know all the names of the fingers, by the way. So we have oya yubi, hitosashi yubi, naka yubi, kusuri yubi, koyubi. All right, good to know body parts as much as possible. Not really so much the organs and things like that, but definitely parts of the body like arm, head, all that kind of stuff. Just good words to know, really. Okay, next one we have kuchi. All right, so this is our mouth. Really good kanji to know. Really just means an opening, I guess, is one one way to think about this actually. And when you draw this, you start on the left, you do the top, then the right, and then the bottom. I think it might have been going to be opposite on the camera, but left, top, right, and then the bottom. Anyway, you get the idea. It's, you should kind of learn how to write this one properly. And yeah, so core is the main reading you need to remember for this guy, and kuchi is obviously very important as well. And by the way, that's the other thing I want to mention about this. It's a very important symbolic radical, and we'll see that in some of the examples that are going to follow. But as mentioned before, we have iriguchi for our entrance, and now this is deguchi for our exit. Okay, and we see the kind of usefulness this has as a symbolic radical, because we have kogo, so this is the spoken language, so basically colloquial language. And we can see even go itself has two kuchis on the bottom, and then we see as a symbolic radical, this is shaberu, this is kind of to chat or to talk, and we see it's got a kuchi on the left hand side, no real coincidence there, and iu, okay, to say something. Clearly the kuchi is having something to do there, and even again the go from Nihongo. All right, next one we have child. So this is, you really just read this as ko. Onyomi of shi is very good to know, and ko I just mentioned, so it just means a child. So kodomo, pretty much everyone knows this word, I would think. Doesn't always tend to get written with this kanji, by the way. A lot of times the ko will be in kanji, but the domo will be in hiragana. But these are the two words I notice a lot of my students tend to forget. So it's very handy to remember these two words to help you remember the onyomi of this kanji. So we have danchi. So this is basically boys, okay, otoko and ko. So boys. And we have joshi. All right, so onna and ko. Okay, so think of the word otoko no ko, onna no ko. Okay, really, it's the exact same meaning of the word. All right, so next one we have our onna kanji. So jo, we just saw that from joshi, of course. Onna, this is really the one you should be trying to remember as much as possible. It just means female. I wouldn't really say woman, but because a woman to me is a onna no hito, so it's kind of a specific usage of it. Really, female I think is a better way to think of this kanji, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. And we have joshi kosei. Okay, joshi kosei. Again, is this really going to come up? Maybe, maybe not. But joshi, female, basically a girl, really, joshi. And then kosei, this is a sei, all right, a high school student. So joshi kosei, a female high school student. All right, next one we have yama. All right, this is a mountain. To me, it kind of looks like a mountain, with the peak in the middle. And we have sun. All right, just easiest way to remember this is just remember Fuji-san. Now, when I point this out to some people, they get kind of surprised because they always thought that Fuji-san, the sun, was like the kind of name suffix, the honorable name suffix you can put on people's names, like Miyagi-san, Yamada-san, but it's not, okay? It's just a coincidence. So this sun is actually mountain, all right? So Fuji-san is Mount Fuji. And we have Yama, of course, so our word for mountain. So Fuji-san, obviously, one I just said. And this is a very common one. You have these certain types of names which will come up that you're expected to read in Year 12, and this is one of them, Yamada. Okay, very common last name in Japan, and the da is really a ta, but it's a rice field. Okay, so Yamada, mountain rice field. Pretty Japanese name if you ask me. Okay, our next one we have kawa. Okay, so this is our kanji for river, another geographical one. See stream, river. Now this one, river or three-stroke river radical. I left this in there because you're not really needed to know that many radicals, especially the names of them in Year 12. But if you really want to remember as many kanji as possible for your exam and not like waste time trying to think, trying to remember them, you want to have little mnemonics and little clues that you can help, teach yourself so that you can look at stuff and instantly recognize it. So when it's talking about this three-stroke river radical, it's not actually this kanji. It kind of changes a bit when it becomes a radical. And so I've given 3 examples here. So we see we have oyogu, this says suberu, and this says kiyoi. And we see that all 3 of them have the same bit on the left-hand side. That's what it's referring to when it says the three-stroke river radical. Okay, so it's just kind of a simplification of this kanji, and it basically means water or river. But so oyogu, that kind of makes sense, okay? Oyogu is to swim, so water's kind of involved there. Suberu, this is not really a word you have to know, but this means to slip, like to kind of slide or fall on something, or something is slippery. So we can see it's there, it kind of makes sense. And kiyoi, this is it's like purity, I guess, something like that, like divinity, divine pureness kind of thing. And so we can kind of see, in Japan, you before you go in the temple, you're supposed to use the water to wash yourself, okay? And it's the same thing happening here, right? You kind of clean things, physically through water, and also, I guess, spiritually if it's like the holy water or whatever. But yeah, so you can see, it's a very broad meaning of water when we think about our radicals like this. I couldn't think of too many words that this will come up with apart from kawa. There are a few names like Kawasaki and all that kind of thing, but I went here, I lived here for a bit, so I'm going to put this in here, but this is Ishikawa Ken. Okay, so this is a prefecture up the top of Japan, kind of directly north of Nagoya. Pretty cold in the winter, but very nice place to go. I would definitely recommend. All right, our next one is a number. So this is sen. Okay, so it's 1,000 Japanese. Yeah, don't really know this kunyomi. So really, this just comes up in numbers, particularly money, of course. When we're talking about money in Japan, once we get over $10 Australian, we're dealing with sen, en. So we can see we got sen en satsu. Okay, so this is a 1,000 yen note, and it can happen in numbers as well. Obviously, when we live in the 2019, so nisen juku nen. So you're gonna need to know this word. Although when you write like this year, nisen juku nen, you tend to not use the kanji. You'll just use the kind of what are called Arabic numbers, the kind of numbers we're used to. But you can have stuff like this, like Nisen Nen Maya, so 2,000 years ago. But generally, it's you need to know the word to say it. But when you write it down, often you don't bother writing it in kanji. Okay, I've got our last 2. So we got sai. This is just one of our counters for years old. So isai, nisai, sansai. And don't worry about this cubic shaku thing. Just a lot of kanji reference old Japanese measurement systems, so you really don't need to know that. But this is tensai. This is pretty much the only other word you need to know for sai in it. So this is a genius, tensai. And last one, we have another number. So this is man. Okay, this is our 10,000. So yeah, 10,000. All right. So again, we're going to be dealing with money probably when we're dealing with this kanji. So ichi man en satsu. Okay, so a 10,000 yen note, and it's good to keep certain numbers in your head because Japanese people use this man to count. Whenever we get above 10,000, we're going to be counting in groups of 10,000. So if we wanted to say 100,000, Japanese people actually say 10,000. Okay, so 10 times 10,000. So they say 10,000. Okay, this is the much more common way. You won't ever hear people saying 100,000. And the next one up is also good to remember. So 100,000, so 100 and then man, because that's going to be a million. And it's actually very useful to be able to say the word to count million, because if you're talking about $1 million, this is a much more useful what I'm looking for. It's a much more useful word. I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say here. But anyway, it's a very unit. That's right. It's a very useful unit of counting, because when we talk about, especially when we're talking about Australian dollars, and you're talking about a lot of money, you want to be able to talk about millions of Australian dollars. In Japanese yen, a million yen is not that much. I mean, it's still pretty good, but you know, you're generally going to be talking in much higher units. So it's good to remember 100만 to kind of go, okay, 100만 is a million. Just kind of go between those two. All right, guys, that's 2 and 3 strokes kanji done. Now, as I said, there's more kanji to this, but at least I think if you know these, you're on a good track. So watch the rest of the videos in the playlist, especially watch the kanjidamage.com videos. And if you have any suggestions for any future videos you'd like to see on kanji, let me know. Otherwise, I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.
Mother lover, you gon' love